Welcome to part 6 of my Campervan conversion series. In this video we'll be carpet lining the back and side doors of my Gen 3 Peugeot Expert. For this I'll be using a smoke grey lining, high temperature trim adhesive, a pen and a Stanley knife with plenty of replaceable blades. I started by marking the points where the rubber seals would meet the door. We'd be using this to know where to spray the adhesive spray. After that I unscrewed the locks and removed the door handles and other pieces of trim. This would make covering the doors much easier as well as giving a more professional finish in the end. Once unscrewed, the door locks will hang in place, giving us more space to work with. Some of the bolts were too tight for the Torx wrench, so I used a spanner instead. I removed the door handle and this black piece of trim with a 6-lobe Torx screw head. This piece here didn't come off that far away from the door, but it did give enough space to get the carpet underneath. The rubber seals held in with 2 clips, with one at the top and one at the bottom. Next I measured the door so I'd know how much carpet I'd need and settled on just under a metre. This gave us plenty of material to work with. Each side of the carpet feels different, with one fluffy edge and one flat side that will be in contact with the van's walls. The original plan was to glue down some plastic trim that the carpet could be tucked into, but the amount of curves on the doors meant that this method wouldn't be possible. This meant I had to be careful not to leave any of the carpet sticking out past the rubber seals, otherwise it could cause a leak. We started by spraying the top section of the door and then worked down from there, being careful to stretch out the carpet and work it into all of the grooves and curves of the door. The spray takes a while to dry, so we're able to pull it off if it wasn't quite right, and the material itself is quite flexible. I was surprised how good it looked over the acoustic insulation, and it does a good job at covering up the dents, as this was a work van before we started our conversion. We cut the smallest hole possible so the lock could fit through the carpet. Avoiding getting creases here was probably the most tricky part of doing the back doors. I trimmed the edge along the point where the rubber seal would cover it up, and using a fresh blade made it a lot easier, as well as making the cut cleaner. We then put the trim back over the top section before moving on to the lower half. Once all the carpet had been stuck down, I went round cutting off the excess around the edges. If you leave the door shut for a while, it will leave a mark on the carpet letting you know where to cut. I only learnt this after doing the job by eye, but it would have been much easier to do it that way. The last part of this door was cleaning off all the overspray and making sure the lines were straight. Here's what the first door looked like when it was done. Once that door was done, we moved on to the other one the next day. The process on this one will be mostly the same, other than this black tab that's used to access the rear light, as well as the door handle that's in a different spot. I used this door as a reference to know where to cut the holes for the wooden panelling in the last one. We started from the top again, and before we got to the door handle, I taped over it so it wouldn't get glued shut. There was a crease when we reached the final corner. To fix this, we cut out a diagonal line and then glued down each section, leaving a gap in the middle. Once they were both stuck down, we went over both the pieces with a Stanley knife, so once the excess was removed they'd meet in the middle. And just like before, I went round using my thumb as a guide to cut off the excess material. I trimmed around the door handle and used glue and a small screwdriver to tuck the excess material around the edge. Here's the second door when it was done. It's important to make sure you leave the drainage holes clear so the material won't get damp. The last stage of working on the back doors was making sure that the lock latch worked smoothly, as the door was quite tough to get open after I first reinstalled them. To fix this, I loosened the bolt so I could lift the latch into a position where the door would shut more easily, while still holding itself in place. And once I was happy with how it was working, I tightened the bolts back up. I repeated the process on the other door before moving on to the sliding doors a few days later. The process for the sliding doors would be pretty much the same, but the only piece of trim that needed to be removed this time was the plastic around the door handle, as well as a few screws that will hold the wooden panelling in place. Removing the trim was a bit tricky because there weren't any online guides showing how to do it. I started by using a trim remover set, but there were some latches holding it in place. I tried to poke in the clips on the other side while the door was open, but realised they should be accessible from the inside. Then I realised the trim came off in two pieces. And once I removed the first piece of plastic, there were two screws that needed to be undone. Here you can see the tabs that hold the trim in place, just like the ones from the door panel in the previous video. Then it was just a case of repeating the process on the other side. This time unscrewing the first piece was a lot easier, but the tabs were a bit more tricky to get out, with a few of them getting stuck in the door frame. The tabs could easily be slotted back into place. And once the trim was put away and saved for later, we could move on to carpet lining the sliding doors. I started by marking around the rubber seals. And then we measured the door to know how much material we'd need, settling on 1.3 meters, which gave us plenty to work with. Before we started using the adhesive spray, we taped over the door handles. We made sure we'd have enough material to reach the top and both sides of the doors, because this time we'd be starting from the middle, hoping to reduce any creases, as well as make it easier to mark the points where the screws will hold in the wooden panelling. The process was similar to the other doors, and unfortunately we had to do another cut again. We also ended up doing this on the opposite door as well, but fortunately you can hardly see the line and it's covered when the door is shut anyway. The dots you can see here are where we're going to screw into the wooden panelling. Most of this door will end up being covered by the wood, so it's only the edges and the middle strip that will be visible. Once all the carpet was glued down, I used the other door as a reference for where to make the cuts. It was quite a fiddly job with limited space, and I have seen people take off the whole door to do this. I thought that would take too much time and I didn't want to risk scratching the outside of the door. I used the other door again as a reference to know where to make the holes for the trim. And if the door handle itself falls out after being unscrewed, it can easily be slotted back into place. Once all the clips are pushed into place, you won't have to hold the trim up while you screw it in, and the final piece slotted in quite easily. And here's the sliding door when it was done. Like I said before, most of it will be covered with wood later on. Here are the dots that mark the points where the screws will hold it in place. All that I needed to do after that was clean up the edges a little bit. The process on the next and final door was exactly the same as the last one. Here's what it looked like once all the doors were done. In the next video we'll be doing the rest of the walls before reinstalling the plywood lining.